This is CBC Here and Now.
We've now had 2 confirmatory tests that are negative, which points to this being a false positive test.
A false alarm for Makovic. Yesterday's presumptive case is actually negative.
While today's case count in the eastern region continues to climb.
The weekend is here. We've got some sun, some snow, and some colder temperatures in the forecast.
Under normal circumstances, they could walk down to the polling station, sign an affidavit saying who they are and that they live in the riding or in the district, and be able to vote.
You know, for somebody who's blind, basically it's non-democratic.
The downside of mail-in voting.
Those who need extra assistance say they and other vulnerable people are being left behind. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, some good news for Makovic. We now know the COVID case we told you about last night was actually a false positive.
Yes, but there were lots of actual positive cases today. In fact, today's new total is the second highest daily count for this province. There were 60 new cases of COVID announced today. All of those are in the eastern region. And in fact, 34 are cases that are previous presumptive positives that have now been confirmed. In fact, there are 9 new presumptive cases that are added today, so in total that leaves 21 cases still waiting to be confirmed. We now know that 1 presumptive case is actually not a positive case at all. People in Makovic are breathing a little easier. The case we told you about last night now turns out to be a false positive.
If somebody tests positive on one of these rapid tests, so these point-of-care tests that you can do very quickly, then we have confirmatory testing, and that confirmatory test then is negative if it's done at the same time. You know, if the sample was collected at the same time, then you have to think about that test in terms of being a false positive.
So what exactly does this result mean? Dr. Thomas Piggott is the Medical Officer of Health in Labrador. So can you explain for us, how did we end up with this positive result in one test and now a negative result in another?
Thanks, Peter. So what happened in this situation is that we did have a point of care test that was initially positive. We've now had 2 confirmatory tests that are negative, which points to this being a false positive test. But you know, the point of care test is only one piece of information, and in a public health investigation, it's kind of like detective work, and you need to take all the pieces of information and act as quickly as possible. And the key thing for us, and in collaboration with Nunavut government, was to act as quickly as possible to protect the community, to protect the residents.
How often does something like this happen?
Well, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic and point of care testing is fairly new, so I don't have an exact percentage. It is quite rare. The testing is very good and reliable and helpful. I know the province is in the process of doing some validation and getting their own numbers around false positive, false negatives in the province. False negatives are more common with point of care testing, which is why it's important to often confirm it with a more gold standard test. But it is a fairly rare event, but it's not unheard of. And when you get information like this, you have to take into account the full picture, all the information you have at the time, and move as quickly as possible. I mean, in this context of the outbreak with the variant, speed is everything.
Well, Dr. Piggott, I appreciate your insights. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks, Peter.
Well, some people have been waiting days and days to get the results of their COVID tests. Since yesterday, 3,015 tests have been completed. The health minister says the wait to get your test and then the results should now be less than a day.
Eastern Health have really done a superb job. There are 83 people currently awaiting testing in Eastern Health. There are single-digit numbers in each of the other regional health authorities. This did not happen by accident, and given the fact that there were 7,000 waiting in one regional health authority as of Saturday night, Sunday morning, that is all the more impressive.
Well, after an emergency meeting, the Natuashish Band Council is calling its own lockdown starting tomorrow. The chief says it won't be much different than the current level 5 lockdown implemented last week, but he says it will meet the community's specific needs. He's asking people to post signs that read "No visitors" on their front doors. Natuashish is also stopping passenger flights in and out of the community to limit the spread of COVID-19. Though emergency medical flights will continue, the lockdown is expected to last 2 weeks. About 200 to 300 people in the community have been vaccinated so far.
If it comes to our community, it's going to be very dangerous and a scary situation for us. A lot of people will be panicking, and we don't want that. We're trying to avoid it in every way we can.
After a cool start today, it was a pretty lovely afternoon with temperatures rebounding into the minus single digits across most of the island, and then up across the big land, temperatures still into the minus double digits. Not a whole lot going on weather-wise across most of the province, just a few flurries here and there, but we are watching the next weather maker move in. That will move in for Saturday night into Sunday time frame, and then some colder air right along with it. That's going to play into the potential for some snow squalls as we head into Sunday. By the middle of next week, though, we're looking at a warm-up and then back to those seasonal temperatures for midweek next week. I'll break all of that down for you coming up.
Well, the deadline to apply for a special ballot for the 2021 general election is just hours away. We asked Elections NL for the latest numbers. Here now's Mark Quinn has the details.
The rules in this election that was called in mid-January have changed a number of times. We were supposed to know the election results last weekend, but of course a spike in COVID numbers changed that. Now, because of the latest outbreak, all in-person voting has been cancelled, and today is a very important day in this election. It's the last day people can apply for a mail-in ballot kit. The deadline is less than 2 hours away at 8 p.m. Election NL says it must receive your ballot by March 5th for it to count, unless you live in Makkovik, where the deadline has been extended. There are about 365,000 people eligible to vote in this province. About 214,000 people voted in the last election. This year, about 65,000 people voted in the advance polls, and as of this afternoon, Elections NL has received about 100,000 requests for mail-in ballots. If all those requests do end up mailing in their ballot, the total number of people expected to vote is near 165,000, much lower than the last election, and perhaps a new record low for voter turnout in a provincial election since Confederation. The date for releasing the results has not been determined. Some people believe this election will create a lot of work for lawyers, and some people believe this election will eventually face a legal challenge. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
And as Mark mentioned, the deadline for most people to apply for a mail-in ballot is this evening at 8 p.m. Newfoundland time. You can apply online or by phone. But as Here Now's Chris O'Neill-Yates reports, some people in the province are worried. They say this new method means they're losing their right to vote.
Good. In ordinary times, during in-person elections, people with disabilities can get help at the polling booth. But the province's unprecedented move to all mail-in ballots poses a challenge.
That sort of like takes away my privacy, my independence.
Terry Gardner says voting is not easy.
The mail-in ballot is a 3-step process. You know, for somebody who's blind, basically it's non-democratic.
Right.
Nancy Reed's daughter is nonverbal and can't write.
She can read, and she reads well, and she can mark an X in a circle.
But her daughter can't fill out a ballot like this, where you have to write in the name of your chosen candidate. Reed says she could help her, but
our choice of who we vote for should be something that we own. She loves to vote. It's something that she takes great pride in. It's something that she has been able to do independently, and that's being denied.
Other vulnerable populations are worried about being disenfranchised.
It's hard to imagine a process that's less inclusive than this, you know?
Dan Meads works with people who are homeless. He says many don't have any identification or a home address to register, much less a phone or a computer to request a mail-in ballot.
Under normal circumstances, They could walk down to the polling station, sign an affidavit saying who they are and that they live in the riding or in the district, and be able to vote.
The chief electoral officer says his aim is to leave no one out.
If you let us know what particular issue you may have or disability that prevents you from being able to go through the other one, we'll figure out a way to make sure that you get to vote.
Basically, we're talking about, voter suppression.
I'm left feeling like my daughter is less than a citizen.
And if her daughter can't vote, Reed and her husband will register their protest by not voting either. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
Now, we do have an update for you on this story. Nancy Reed tells CBC that her daughter has been sent a traditional ballot. That means that she can mark it with an X, something she's able to do independently. Now, Bruce Chalk says any individuals who can't use a blank ballot should contact Elections NL. He says, if possible, leave a message on their phone line by 8 p.m. tonight, and they'll do their best to accommodate you.
Well, 66-year-old George Brake, the man who police say threatened to execute politicians and stop the election, pleaded not guilty to half a dozen charges in a Corner Brook provincial court this morning. Brake is facing weapons charges as well as charges for uttering threats, flight from police, and for the dangerous operation of a vehicle. Brake took police on a high-speed chase last month before he was arrested in Deer Lake in front of the office of a political candidate. Police say they found 36 hunting and tactical knives in Brake's truck, with one knife wedged near the driver's seat. The RCMP said Brake threatened to execute local politicians. Brake has undergone a psychiatric assessment at the Waterford Hospital in St. John's. He was denied bail earlier this week. Brake is expected to be back in court March the 5th.
Well, another drug bust to tell you about tonight, this time in Grand Falls, Windsor. Police nabbed 3.5 kilos of cocaine with an estimated street value of up to $840,000. Police say there's no doubt that amount of cocaine is connected to organized crime. Officers also seized crack cocaine, a gun, cash, and a vehicle. They arrested a 37-year-old local man who's been released on conditions. A second man was also arrested, but police haven't released any details about that. Well, yesterday, our CMP announced the interception of a drug ring between St. John's, Torbay, and Ontario. They raided 5 homes and found 12 pounds of MDMA, one of the biggest seizures of that drug ever found in this province. According to the police, officers also picked up other drugs, guns, vehicles, and $250,000. 6 people were charged, 3 from this province. Police are expecting to arrest more people in that case and in the Grand Falls Windsor bust. Well, the Public Health Agency of Canada is investigating an outbreak of Salmonella infections in this province and in Nova Scotia. The agency says eggs are likely to blame. It found cases linked to people cooking and baking with eggs at home and to eggs eaten at institutions like nursing homes and hospitals. There have been 25 confirmed cases of Salmonella in Newfoundland and Labrador since October. 19 people here and in Nova Scotia have been hospitalized. The agency didn't name any egg companies involved, but says the outbreak appears to be ongoing.
The airline industry is taking a financial beating because of the pandemic, and it's no picnic for the airports in this province either. The St. John's Airport Authority says it's borrowing money to stay open and needs federal funding and support in order to survive. Cease Hare reports.
The impact of the pandemic on air travel is extreme. People aren't flying. More bad news for the Airport Authority in St. John's this week. WestJet is dropping its only flight out of YYT until June, adding to the already dramatic drop in flights. WestJet's departure means only 2 daily flights from St. John's to mainland Canada. 2. Before the pandemic, there were 14 daily flights just to Halifax.
We're basically borrowing to keep the lights on, to stay open for essential services. We've cut our staff by 20%, cut our overall operating costs in 2020 by 20%, which is significant because there's a lot of infrastructure that we have to maintain, but we've done everything we can to keep our costs down.
For the airport, it adds up to a $35 million loss in revenue this year. Avery says only so much downsizing is possible when planes need to land.
Essential travelers that still need to get to and from the island, rotational workers, but also for medevac flights, essential cargo, those types of things. So you pretty much have to maintain most of your infrastructure as if, you were back to full capacity with passengers, but without the ability to pay for it because it's passengers that actually pays for the airport running.
Pressure mounts on Ottawa to help the industry, and Avery wants help for the authority too. He wants the near $3 million annual rent payment to Transport Canada abolished, and operating grants too. The 14-day quarantine on people coming into the province, he says, is keeping air travelers away.
The variant came in here despite a 14-day quarantine being in place. A lot of jurisdictions are implementing now point of entry testing and also looking at point of departure testing. And I think that's the next step that we have to go through, with hopefully then a combination of testing on point of entry and also, looking at reducing quarantines going forward.
Health officials are in no hurry, saying they'll study the effectiveness of point of entry testing.
This variant is it's a game changer, as I've said before, so we have to, as we've said from the beginning, if evidence change and science changes and the epidemiology changes, which it clearly has now at this point, then we have to evolve with that. And so those are all conversations that we're having at the moment.
Cease Hare, CBC News, St. John's.
Okay, switching gears here now. Peter, are you ready to feel a chill? A West Coast family has been going for a dip in the icy Humber River.
Like voluntarily, Carolyn? They weren't being chased or escaping a wild animal here?
I don't think so. The Hogan family says taking the plunge is like a shock to the system that's keeping them connected. They've actually lost track of how many times they've done the polar dip over the last few weeks. Just have a look.
Going in! Woohoo! Gotta be. It's so invigorating, and honestly, it's cold when we do it, but afterwards, it warms you up, and you just feel so good and energetic, and it feels like you're participating in life when you do something a little bit different like this. Woo! We really enjoyed it. It's so beautiful and quiet on the river when we come down in the morning. Usually there's a flock of ducks that they fly away. Yesterday we had the crows and a woodpecker. It's a really nice way to get out in nature too and feel connected to the place that we're living in. And especially now we're not getting out very much with COVID, so it just really makes you feel connected.
Very refreshing, invigorating. Like ice.
Okay, refreshing is one way to put it.
It's an interesting family activity. And Peter, the mother, son, and daughter have been diving in, but the camera person, the dad, has not hopped in himself yet.
Smart man.
Yeah, but maybe, who knows, maybe he'll do it this weekend.
Well, if weather is a deciding factor for you about whether you want to hop into some icy cold water, Ashley's forecast is coming up after the break. Stick around and see what the weekend has in store.
Happy Friday, Ashley. How's the weekend looking weather-wise?
Well, it's going to be a little bit of everything in the forecast for most of the island, really. But temperatures today, did you notice how chilly it was to start? Certainly here in St. John's, it was the coldest day so far that we've seen this season. Let's take a look at those temperatures. -10 was recorded at the airport, -24 in Badger this morning, and then temperatures into the minus single digits across most of the west coast and into the -20s for Labrador. Now, they did rebound quite nicely into the minus teens and then minus single digits across the island, but temperatures are going to drop again tonight. And if you take a look at the current wind chill, sitting around minus, or feeling more like -15 in St. John's, and similar as you head towards the west coast. So if you are planning on heading out tonight, make sure you do bundle up. But it's going to be a fairly nice night. Not a whole lot on the go. Looking at the potential for flurries ending as we head towards midnight, with clearing skies across most of the island and across the Big Land. Into the early morning hours, we'll start to see some increasing cloud for the Burin Peninsula as well as the Avalon. But because of those those clearing skies, we're going to see those temperatures dip again into the minus double digits for most, and those winds will ease for the west coast and the northwesterlies in the east, about 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. Another cold night for Labrador. -29 will be the overnight low in Lab City, -25 for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Cartwright. You'll sit around -20. So wind chills tonight will be cold for most of the Big Land, into the feeling more like the -30s. And this takes us through to tomorrow morning. So if you are planning on heading out in the morning, just make sure you do bundle up, because wind chills will feel closer to -20s in some areas across the island. So tomorrow, most of the Big Land and the island will start beautiful tomorrow. We're looking at plenty of sunshine, but then again, that increasing cloud will move in through the afternoon. And that's thanks to an area of low pressure that is going to pass well southeast of the island, but it is going to bring some snow for most of eastern Newfoundland into the evening. And by the time the overnight rolls around, most of us will be seeing periods of snow, and then those winds shift to northerly component winds, and we're going to see those onshore flurries potentially developing again for the west coast. Here's your temperatures for tomorrow. Quite nice, minus single digits, so not moving too much from what we've been seeing for the past couple of days. You'll note those winds will pick up as we head into the evening hours for eastern areas, about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then a few flurries towards the evening for central and northern Labrador. Otherwise, you're looking at plenty of sunshine. So that northerly flow is going to play a role in the potential for some snow squalls, and that'll be generally for anywhere along the northeast through Sunday, and then that's including the Bonavista Peninsula as well as the northern Avalon through the day on Sunday. Monday, things clear out quite nicely, start to get some quiet weather through the day on Monday, and then Tuesday we'll start to see some more cloud cover move in. So these totals take us through Saturday, what's going to fall Saturday night, and then through the day on Sunday. So with that potential for some snow squalls, putting in about 5 to 10 centimeters possible for northern areas of the Avalon. The southern tip, you're in that 10 to 15 centimeter range, and then anywhere west of the Avalon, pretty much towards central, you're looking at a trace to 5 centimeters, again falling. Most of that falling for the Bonavista North, falling through the day on Sunday. Here's your temperatures. You'll note much cooler thanks to that northerly flow, bringing in some of that colder air. -11 will be the afternoon high in Corner Brook. And then as you head towards the east, a little bit warmer, about -5 in St. John's, and then temperatures into the minus teens across the Big Land as well. Similar temperatures, maybe a couple of degrees warmer as we head into Monday for some areas. Again, staying quiet. Some flurries will move in late day for Lab City, and then the chance of scattered flurries, the story for Monday as well for the rest of the island. After that, Tuesday, Wednesday, we start to get into some warmer air, so it looks like we're going to see our next weather maker move in, start as snow, transition through to rain, and then we'll see that transition back to snow Wednesday as those temperatures dip back down. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at quiet into Monday. Looks nice with sunshine, but again, that warm up and that transition through to snow, and then back to, from snow to rain, then back to snow as we head into Wednesday. Similar forecast for western Newfoundland, not quite as warm it looks like, hovering around 0 degrees by the time Wednesday rolls around. and then up through Labrador, quiet right through Tuesday. Wednesday is when we see a warm up. Looks like some periods of snow for you there as far as significant snowfall goes. And then for Western Labrador, by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're looking at temperatures into the minus single digits. And then for your overnight lows into the minus teens. So I wanted to share this photo. This is the morning view of Calls Harbour in Bonavista Bay. Howard shared that photo with us. And if you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, Gander is embracing winter in a big way with its virtual Snowbreak 2021.
Yeah, there's a contest for the town's best snowman, and one little girl and her family have accepted that challenge with gusto. 4-year-old Nora even learned a new word to describe her massive snowman.
Big. It's big. You know what a skyscraper is? No. A skyscraper is like the biggest building in a town, in a city. Yeah. Is it bigger than those? Yeah. She tells me to post it on the Facebook so that all of her friends, she's having a hard time missing her friends from daycare. So she asked me to send it to everybody and tell them that they can come play outside on it. But not yet, in a little bit. I think it's been hard, like really hard on the kids her age because they can't quite understand it. And that's kind of why we decided to put on our snow clothes and go out and build a big snowman. Yeah.
I want some tips, Nora, on what I need to do to make a snowman like yours. How would I do it?
She's leading you outside to show it now.
My snowman is enormous.
It's enormous?
Mm-hmm. And his name is Honda the Cellar Wild.
Yeah? Why did you build such a big snowman?
I wanted to.
So he's got a hat.
He's got a hat, full-size garbage can. There's stairs on the back. I'd say it's 16 feet high. 16 feet That's as high as I could get it with a snowblower.
I just asked for, I was like, let's do the Town of Gander snowman contest, thinking we do like a regular size snowman, and this is what we ended up doing. Do you think you're going to win?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it's enormous.
Oh, well, that snowman is enormous. Nora, great job.
We heard that she had to practice that word, but it's so cute.
Hi there. Coming up, welcome to my new classroom, the shower.
From classroom to bathroom, she's making online learning work by teaching from the tub. That's coming up. Well, we've all heard of singing in the shower, but what about teaching in the shower? Now that students have returned to online learning, one grade 6 teacher in Mount Pearl has found a creative way to make the most of the situation. Danielle Leclerc joins me now from her makeshift home classroom in her bathroom. Danielle, I don't think I've done an interview with someone in a shower before.
We can both check that off our bucket list.
Why have you started teaching your students from the shower?
I needed somewhere big. All the whiteboards that were available to us at school were a little bit too big. I wanted something that was kind of mounted to my wall, and I didn't really want to rearrange any rooms in my house to accommodate the bigger whiteboards. So I was trying to kind of stressing on what I was going to do. Didn't really want to, write on a whiteboard and kind of post it up to the kids. So I took to the bathtub one night just to de-stress, read, and I'm lying in the bathtub and I'm looking up and I was like, wait a second, this is perfect. So I jump out, dry off, clean everything up, and yeah, the rest is history.
So the view that we're seeing right now of you, is this what your students see during class?
Yes. So they're a little bit higher up because I'm actually standing. And yeah, so I'm able to move around in the confines of the bathtub.
Can you give us a little demonstration? What does a lesson look like when you're using your shower wall as a whiteboard?
And it's basically the same as what the kids are used to in school if I'm in front of the whiteboard. So, good morning. And I tell you a little bit of vim and it gets off.
And how did the students react when you told them that you're teaching them from your shower?
It was all giggles the first day. So I lifted up my laptop to bring into the bathroom and they were all like, Miss, where are we going? And I said, we're going on an adventure. So I hear them all like, wee. So I put it down and you could see them all coming closer to their screens and they're like, Miss, where are you? And I was like, in the shower. And they all kind of look up and, really, miss? I said, yep, this is what we're using. And I was like, can everyone see? And they're like, yep, we can see. And then I started teaching and trying to, be as normal as possible. And one kid chimes in. He's like my little witty one with the remarks. And he said, well, we can always say we saw our teacher in the shower.
That is so great. And it's interesting because you found a way to improvise your teaching, but also it sounds like you're making it kind of fun for the kids.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, learning has to be fun. If you want to get their attention and, have them engaged, it needs to have that little aspect of fun to it.
And you posted some photos of you teaching in your shower online.
My mom kind of passed the bathroom door and kind of sticks her head in and she mouths, what are you doing? I was like, what does it look like? I'm teaching math. So obviously in true mom style, she ran and grabbed her phone and took some pictures and she made the comment, I've got to show this to your aunt. And so I decided to post them to my Facebook page as well. Never thinking in a million years that I would start hashtagging online, tub teacher.
What did you say the hashtag is?
Hashtag tub teacher.
That's amazing. And how are the students adjusting to online learning so far?
They are amazing, I must say. Big shout out to 6-2. They miss the one-on-one, like the face-to-face connection, but it is what it is. I keep reminding them that we are in a future history lesson, so we'll make do of it.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it. Well, Danielle, you're certainly doing your best to make a squeaky clean transition for the students. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
What a great way to improvise. I'm now wondering whether or not the bosses here will let me do the news from my shower. Probably not a good thing. But let's return to today's top story, and that is COVID. And the briefing today, which has a little update on a story that we first brought you last night. So we introduced you to Marian Abdulkader, who's an international student who graduated with a master's degree from Memorial University in October. The mother of two has been searching for full-time work, but says that's been difficult during the pandemic. She now works part-time as a cashier. Abdulkader has lost her MCP coverage for herself and her children and says they literally can't afford to get sick. Well, we asked the health minister about her situation today.
Certainly, in the past, we had been very flexible during COVID wave one around that issue. I think some of the standard policy stuff that would have come across my desk as minister does not do that now because of the caretaker convention. What we have said also is that no person residing in this province in that situation would be denied coverage for healthcare issues simply because of administrative issues during the time of COVID. So unfortunately, until the caretaker period is over, it would be difficult for me to act, but I can certainly go back and look at the specifics of any individual were that person to contact the department.
Well, other people who are finding it tough during this pandemic, truck drivers say they're being blamed for bringing the virus into Newfoundland and Labrador. Starting Sunday, they and other Newfoundland and Labrador ferry passengers who are exempt from self-isolation will have to take a COVID test when they arrive in North Sydney. Volunteers in Port aux Basques will plan to have food and drinks for workers traveling back and forth. Once again, here's John Haggie.
These individuals who work very hard are not our enemy. They indeed are our friends, and without them, we would not have food, fuel, medical supplies, or really a lot of essentials. And I think we need to bear that in mind as part of Dr. Fitzgerald's exhortation to kindness. Interestingly enough, some others have also seen the plight of truck drivers. There's a restaurant here in my own district on the TCH who has put up on social media a truck-friendly environment and contactless delivery for truckers to avail of a hot meal and a hot drink and use their facilities safely should they need to. Minister Parsons and Lieutenant Collins of the Salvation Army in Port aux Basques have been working behind the scenes, and both informed me that the Salvation Army will be putting in their mobile kitchen, as they did during the last Alert Level 5 lockdown in Port aux Basques, and that this will be available to provide food and refreshment and hot drinks to truck drivers starting hopefully on Sunday. And to all of those individuals, individually and collectively, my thanks, certainly.
While the number of cases is rising in Newfoundland and Labrador, they're dropping in other parts of the country. But variants of the coronavirus are spreading, and federal modeling numbers suggest it could lead to a third wave. Public health officials are urging provinces not to ease restrictions too soon. Catherine Cullen has more.
The rate of increase has slowed over the past several weeks.
There's good news.
Almost 60% fewer active cases than a month ago.
And potential bad news. Modeling showing COVID variants could send cases shooting up, even if current health measures are maintained.
Further lifting of the public health measures will cause the epidemic to resurge rapidly and strongly.
Officials say this isn't about precise numbers, more of a general warning about what could happen if jurisdictions ease up on restrictions.
I think they're all vigilant and know that if you ease anything at all, it better be slow with a lot of surveillance, testing.
Variants are real and they're already here.
The Prime Minister echoed the warning, saying Canadians have to stick to strong public health measures.
Otherwise, we could see a third wave that is even worse than the second or the first.
But at a news conference today, he wouldn't bite when asked if any of the provinces are opening up too soon.
province. The job of the federal government is to be there to support the provinces in the very difficult decisions they need to make.
There is potential relief on the way, but it is becoming a race between the vaccines and the variants. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, meanwhile, Pfizer is asking the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for permission to store its COVID-19 vaccine at warmer temperatures. Currently, the vaccine must be kept between -80 and -60 degrees Celsius. That requires special ultra-cold freezers. But Pfizer says new data shows the vaccine could be stored for 2 weeks at temperatures between -25 and -15. So if approved, this would make vaccine storage and distribution easier.
Welcome back to Here and Now. A local artist is tackling a complex conversation in her latest production. It's called Muskrat Dreams, a love story.
Yeah, it's a puppet show about the controversial hydroelectric project. Here and Now spoke with the creator.
Hi, I'm Tara Manuel in Corner Brook. I am a puppet theater artist and writer and the creator of Muskrat Dreams, a love story. I'm going to talk about the Muskrat Falls project this evening. a high voltage direct current transmission line between Muskrat Falls and Soldiers Pond on the island of Newfoundland. I'm a puppet theater artist, so when I tell stories, I'm always considering how to interpret those stories through puppetry. And also because it's a very complicated story, I thought that puppetry would be a great way to engage interest in people who perhaps may not be interested in listening to a story about the Muskrat Falls Commission of Inquiry report, and B, puppetry gives one the ability to speak about things that are very difficult to speak about with words.
Huh?
Well, it comes from loving my province and having a serious concern about what's happened with this project, how it is going to affect us for generations. I'm a mother with 2 sons, one in university at MUN and St. John's and the other about to go to university. So obviously I have a stake in this.
Why did you think this was a good idea for the province? I mean, it's so confusing to me because it's like you all thought you were doing what was best. I mean, why wouldn't you? You love this place as much as I do, right, guys?
Oh, yeah. Danny loves it. Kathy loves it. Dwight Ball loves it, too. Well, none of you love it more than Joey Smallwood, the father of Confederation.
Oh, shut up, Joey! You had 23 years to say it. If you didn't say it then, you don't get to say it now.
I think that has to do with the fact that there's no rate mitigation plan yet, no plan to manage our debt from Muskrat, and nobody's talking about Nalcor. So this is young Nalcor here sitting with me. Perhaps he has something to say about it to enlighten the population. Nothing, hey buddy? Well, I'm leaving it up on my YouTube channel. It's free to watch, and that I consider my service to Newfoundland and Labrador. As an artist, I feel that it's my job to reflect society back to itself, to provoke thought and discussion, to ask difficult questions, to make people think and feel. As someone who's received quite a lot of support from Arts NL over the last 2 decades, I think that's a good and valuable service that I can provide to my community. So I'm leaving it up. I am working on another piece which won't be ready until next year around this time, called The Madhouse. It's an historical fiction piece, but I am considering continuing to speak about Muskrat Falls. So it might be called Muskrat Dreams, The Madhouse, and I may continue to discuss these issues.
Stabilize rates for residents and businesses and meet our needs. Oh, little Kathy, you believed it too. What a load of crap.
Well, time to find out who's celebrating. Happy 58th anniversary to Elaine and Eddie Hutchings from Botwood, now living in Toronto. Eugene and Bessie Lush from Torbay are celebrating their 54th wedding anniversary. Happy 65th anniversary to Norman and Erla Butt of Swift Current. Happy 54th wedding anniversary to Joan and Bruce Snook from Fortune. Anniversary greetings going out to Violet and Onias Ralph of Grand Falls, Windsor. It's their 68th.
Happy anniversary to Howard and Christine Cooper of Winterton. They're celebrating 51 years of marriage. Congratulations to Norman and Helen Kendall of Morrisville Bay d'Espoir. It's their 58th anniversary. 53rd wedding anniversary greetings to Ford and Emma Rumbold of Marys Harbour. Congratulations to Jim and Betty Cooper. It's their 50th anniversary. Happy 54th anniversary to Clyde and Margaret Oram from Glovertown.
Happy anniversary to Everett and Olga Gregory from Lewisport. They're celebrating 66 years of marriage. Happy 56th anniversary to Jesse and Cecilia Pomeroy of Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 60th anniversary to Pleeman and Marjorie King of New West Valley. It's a golden anniversary for Donna and Sam Hancock. Congratulations. Anniversary wishes going out to Leslie and Ruth Roberts in St. Paul's River, Quebec. They're celebrating 55 years of marriage.
Happy anniversary to Lily and Joe Clark. It's their 58th wedding anniversary. Congratulations going out to Mac and Glennis Butler, who are celebrating their 55th anniversary. It's a diamond anniversary for Joyce and Benny Broydell in London, Ontario. Congratulations. Happy 50th anniversary to Louise and Robert Clancy of St. John's, now living in Paradise. Wishing Helen and Francis Ryan of Southern Harbour a very happy 50th anniversary.
Happy 69th wedding anniversary to Dominic and Mary Corbett of Holyrood. Happy 55th anniversary to this lovely couple. We don't have their names, but we hope that they'll have a wonderful anniversary. Happy 61st wedding anniversary to Hayward and Lucy Han of Port Blandford. Anniversary greetings going out to George and Gloria Noseworthy of Leading Tickles. They've been married for 58 years. Now to some birthdays. Birthday greetings going out to Clarence Butler of Bonavista, who's turning 98.
Happy 90th birthday to Eileen Way from Summerford, now living in Lewisport. Geraldine Hiscock is celebrating her 90th birthday tomorrow. She's living in Corner Brook, and we're told she's a faithful here and now watcher. We like to hear that. Happy birthday to Clarence Tuck of Clark's Beach. He's turning 90. Happy 91st birthday to Shirley Best from Brownsdale, now living in Old Perlican. Happy 93rd birthday to Joseph Newhook of Norman's Cove.
Gertrude Wagner is celebrating her 90th birthday. She's from Harbour Grace and now lives in Carbonear. Happy 94th birthday to Arthur Sturge of St. John's. Happy 94th birthday to Frank Gorman of Mull Bay, now living in Conception Bay South. Wishing Samuel Skinner a very happy 90th birthday. Happy 92nd birthday to Barbara Oram from Hare Bay, now living in Gambo.
Happy birthday to Evelyn Lindhorn in Bonavista. She turns 90 tomorrow. Very happy birthday to Lily Woodworth of Point Leamington, who just turned 99. Florence Anderson from Mount Pearl is celebrating her 91st birthday. And it's a big day for Ethel Codner of Torbay. She is celebrating her 100th birthday. She now lives in St. John's. Elsie Green of Gander is celebrating her 99th birthday tomorrow.
Happy 93rd birthday to Clarence Smith in Grand Falls, Windsor. Wishing Jane Smith of St. John's a happy 94th birthday. Happy birthday to Monica Hindi. She recently turned 90. Happy 93rd birthday tomorrow to Jean Walters of Boat Harbor West. Happy 91st birthday to Beth Woodford of Harbor, Maine.
Happy 101st birthday to Dorothy Michelin of Happy Valley Goose Bay. And finally, Jean Sparks of Corner Brook is also turning 101. Happy birthday.
Congratulations once again. And Peter, one quick note before we finish up tonight. If you haven't applied to receive a mail-in ballot to vote in the provincial election, you have 1 hour left to either go to the Elections NL website or apply by phone. The instructions on how to apply are on the website elections.gov.nl.ca.
That's it. Have a good